Well, you know, they say that once you enter the Burr months, those are months that end in BER, then it's probably Christmas time. And here we are in September, the first of the Burr months. And so why wouldn't we be thinking of Christmas coming up? And you see that there is a Father Polly Eric from the Friary, and that's synonymous with the Christmas Village.
I
It's
guess.
A good, right? It's a good
Yeah.
identification.
Yeah,
It's a good
why not?
relationship.
Sure.
That is one of the most attended
Very much, yeah.
events of the Christmas season.
It's a big hit here on Guam, and it's
Yeah.
unique. Huh? It's
Yeah.
You can't find anything like it on Guam, and stateside families who see their families film it and put it on YouTube, their comments are like, "Wow, we don't even have that here in downtown wherever," you know.
That I think it was a big deal when last year they opened it up. Was it last year or the year before that they started opening it up at the beginning?
Last year was
the first year they took it out of the Friary and
Right.
moved it into a bigger room.
There were actually a couple Christmases where the family was not able
Right.
to help because of the dear May's health. May she rest in peace.
Yes.
And since she's passed on, we kind of call this Christmas village the May Kinata Memorial Christmas Village.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a nice one. It's a way to
Well,
memorize.
it really came from her heart,
Yeah.
as well as everybody else in the family.
But it was the idea that first came and it started off kind of, it was sparse, wasn't it, compared to now? What was
Compared
it?
to now,
Compared to now,
but
but it
even the
was,
first year we had a great crowd. Yeah.
I remember when I first moved to Guam that the only way to see it was to go to the Kanata house.
That's how it all started.
Yeah.
Out of their living room, their carport, little Christmas knickknacks, this and that, trains that they had picked up over the years, and not just one person, but the whole family.
That's what they'll tell you. That each
Yeah.
of the kids, Derek would tell you that how it started with him.
Right.
It's been by the generations. So now, with the village, coming up and the kind of work that goes into it.
A lot of work.
Yeah. How many man hours do you estimate that?
I will base myself on what I saw with my own eyes, which was when it was still at the Friary. They would start October, November. They'd start no later than the 1st of October. They would knock off from work at 5, come up to the Friary, and stay till midnight,
Oh my gosh.
and almost 6-7 days a week. Almost.
How did it, do you know what the process was where it moved out of the Kanata family home or in their property up to the Friary? What was the relationship that fostered that?
So after a while, the Kanatas, maybe it was the typhoon. I don't really recall. But at one point, they stopped doing it, even in their home in Ipan or homes in Ipan. But it stuck in my mind because I had gone there when it was still in Ipan, and I was like totally amazed. And so when the new Friary opened in 2007, and we had this big bill from the bank to pay, I was thinking of ways to fundraise. And not only fundraise, but to get human beings into the Friary, to see the Friary and appreciate the Friary, and know that the Friary is available for them. And so I thought, well, what if I asked the Kanatas if we could borrow their Christmas Village items, and we would put it on. And not only did they say yes, but they were so gracious and said, we'll come up and put it up for you and man it for you.
Wow.
Which was a huge investment. Very generous of them.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of moving pieces. I mean, back then there was a lot of moving pieces.
Yes.
And just how to figure out how they categorize and store these things.
Absolutely.
Is amazing.
But they got it down.
They got it.
They have a system.
Yeah, they do. It's like setting up camp. They know exactly how to do it.
Yeah.
And
it's not the same every year.
Yeah.
So they're always coming up with new ideas and construction plans, designs.
Yeah.
Go out and get this.
So did you ever get to put in or have some kind of creative moment where you went, oh, I would like to see this go?
Well, I actually did, but I didn't move on it. So we have to, expect it for next year. But I saw them put up a White House. And I thought to myself, a miniature White House all lit up. And I said to myself, now wouldn't a miniature Friary be nice? I said, go for it. Well, I just haven't gone for it, but we'll put it for next year.
You have to construct something like that with all the...
One year they had all the Capuchin parishes, the churches, little models of the churches. I think at one time they bought little figurines of friars and, gave them names, our guys.
But it also became more of a relationship between you and the family because they're in there, but they also became staunch supporters of everything the Friary did outside of December.
Well, we've had a long relationship with them, and they're parishioners of the Capuchin Parish. So yeah, it's personal, and of course we feel that personal bond with them as well. And it's branched out because now we have Julie Villagomez, who's a Capuchin parishioner, St. Jude, who specializes in the nativity scene, the Belen aspect of it. So she joined the crew and her daughters. And I should mention that because we keep saying Kinata, that one of May's daughters married a Doyle.
Right.
And Julie's two daughters, one married a Sablan, one married a Nuggan.
Right.
So it's all of these families now.
And the Munoz.
The Munoz. And then Vince Ariola and Aileen, when it was still at the Friary, their son, Eric, I believe, was coming up and just totally fell in love with it. And the few years that we were not able to have it, he just was like, Mom, where is the Christmas village?
That was something that was part of his routine.
So now Vince and Aileen are very much involved too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the event is going to be all of what, November or?
The first open night for the public is the Sunday after Thanksgiving, November 27, 6 p.m. at Ganya Shopping Center.
Oh, good.
No entrance fee. There is a donation box. I can explain where that goes. And it goes all the way till, I believe it's the Monday after New Year, which is January 2nd. It's January 2nd, whatever day that is.
Why don't you have an entrance fee? You know that people will pay something like that if they know it's...
Well, this started under Polly Eric. And Polly Eric, if you know him, Polly Eric has this, I guess maybe Franciscan formed mentality. You know, at least he tries to. He fails at it sometimes, but you don't charge. You just let people give what they can and what they want.
Okay, well...
And the Lord never leaves us hanging dry.
Well, obviously, because you're doing it again this year, and people are willing to donate when they see a box there, so that's nice.
Donations never end because bills never end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does the money go to then?
The money goes to help us pay back the Bank of Guam. And the Bank of Guam is one of our sponsors.
Yeah.
It's wonderful that they help us pay them.
I'm always about that relationship.
That's wonderful. So many of our sponsors, I just mentioned them, but we have many sponsors, and without their help, we'd be, facing a harder challenge.
Yeah.
Putting this on.
Do you know how many people came through there last year?
It's very difficult to estimate. Or actually, it's difficult to give you an exact number. It's easier to estimate. But we think maybe 10, 15,000.
Easily. I hear it was packed, the nights that I didn't go, but I know that there was packed almost, every night.
Many repeat people?
Yeah. But were they not also having tourists that were coming through there?
We were really hoping to draw the tourists, but it was very difficult to even communicate with the tour bus companies. Yeah. So if you're out there, if you're listening, tour bus companies, call me.
It would actually be kind of simple to engage like the hotels to put up a flyer or a video or something as one of their calendar events for the season, and then show that transportation could be available.
Or even the trolley.
Even the trolley could get involved. Well, I might know some people.
A few Japanese who were daring, who went off the map, found us, and they were just crazy about it.
Yeah. Well, it's a great event. It's well attended. A lot of times during the season, what they also do is they serve some kind of refreshments, which is always
we would appreciate volunteers, families, businesses, agencies, whatever, come and join the fun and put out the buñuelos or whatever you have, the Christmas punch, non-alcoholic, and join the fun. Volunteer for that. Choirs to come and carol. Yeah.
See, listen, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, more of the conversation with Polly Eric, but enjoy the scenes of the great display that they have at the Friary every Christmas. Be right back. As we're talking about the Christmas display that is a part of the Capuchin family, I can't help but ask some of the questions about the friary itself. First of all, how old is the new building? From
The new building was completed in June of 2007. So it's 9 years.
Okay, and then in this process, you also have had to expand to make more room.
Yes, we wanted to be very conservative and not overbuild, but we got the nice problem of having quite a number of young men joining us. So we had to fill in parking spaces and make them rooms. Every friar gets a room. So that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, is the friary though necessarily considered a seminary, or is there what is the
No.
difference if you're
Yeah, a seminary, the word seminary means a school of theology and priestly training. We're a friary, it's the home of friars. So when they're ready to take theology, we send them to the States to live in another friary, but close to a school of theology. So they live in the friary, but take their classes at the School of Theology, run by Jesuits and Dominicans. But up at our friary, we do have the initial years when they first join. It's kind of like boot camp. Those levels of what we call formation happen at the friary. So it's not a seminary, but it is a house of formation. But primarily, it is a residence for the friars.
had that always been a plan for the friary when you were building the new building when the old one fell apart?
Yeah.
That there was
Yes.
going to be formation or a place to house these
Yes,
these young
but just
men.
the initial formation,
Yeah.
the beginning years.
Okay, so this has all been part of the plan and part of the investment.
Yes.
Yeah. So you mentioned that it's a good problem to have that so many young men. Is it hard? Is it hard, as a member of the clergy, to find young men who are interested in this life, or to find the boys that have the vocation?
It is quite a challenge. And the funny thing, from a worldly point of view, it's funny, but if you understand that a vocation, voca, call, is from God. So you can't really just program. It's not like recruiting for the Navy. A vocation is from God. So God surprises you. When we work really hard to get vocations, we get nobody applying that year. And then maybe 1 year, we don't work as hard, 3 young men step forward.
So you're saying that they present themselves
It's a call
because
from
it's
God.
a call.
It's a call from God. Now, that doesn't mean we shouldn't work at promoting vocations, because God expects us to do our part. So we got to do our part. But it's really up to God, whom He calls.
Yeah. The friary, though, at the top of the hill is a symbol. I mean, it really does.
And I wanted it to be. When I built it with the friars, of course, I was the superior at the time. So I proposed this to the friars, and they went along with it. That it make a statement. The friars have been here since 1901, when all the foreign missionaries were expelled. Padre Palomo was in his 60s and all by himself. He needed help. So we came to the rescue since 1901, and God gave us the job of laying the foundation for the church.
Was it always at that spot, though?
After World War II.
Okay. Whose land was that?
I believe, this is not going to be very helpful, the Cruz family.
Okay, well,
Yeah, well, which
Joe Cruz.
Yeah. I believe they were the major landowners, if not the only landowners, and Father Theophane bought that land in 47 or 48, 1948. And who would have known that Guam would turn out the way it is, and that spot would be a great
It's a landmark.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an iconic
Yeah.
building for Guam.
In 1947, we were still living in Quonset huts, and
Yeah. I have to ask you something. I was reading something the other day, and I really just got my curiosity. And then we had a conversation about it with Phil Leonger on the radio. I had this story that came out from Fox News about the tour of Padre Pio's heart. Did you see that story?
No, his
so
heart?
it's for the first time, they're saying that for the first time, Padre Pio's heart as an organ is being displayed in
I-
Boston or
I
something
never
as a
heard of
relic.
that, and I'm surprised they take his heart out of his body.
I don't know how that happened because
Yeah.
wasn't there a whole issue about Padre Pio having sort of incorrupt?
Yeah, more or less. There was some decay where it was exposed at the top of his head. There was a crack in the encasement of his coffin. But otherwise, his body is in
understand.
pretty good shape.
Isn't that interesting? Can you explain what that means to people who understand that an incorrupt body is a saintly sign?
Well, it is
that right?
it is a sign of something very unusual, right? But don't think that an uncorrupt saint of a body is as fresh and pink as someone else's living person's. Some of them are quite leathery, you know, but they haven't disintegrated, and that's the
You know, when we were there, we actually watched this video of them exhuming his body,
Right.
and it was really bizarre
Yeah.
to see. I mean, on the
Yeah,
video
right.
that
Yeah, these
that
are
it was still
unusual things,
intact.
yeah.
Well, back to the reason why we're all here, and that was to talk about the big display. This is happening in November for sure, the entire month of November into the new year.
November 27th.
To the 27th. Okay.
All
into the
of
new
December
year.
till January 2nd, 6 p.m. to about 9.
All right. Take your families.
Schools, public schools, private schools can call us up, make special arrangements to bring the class down, the school down.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yes.
Out of hours, out of the normal hours, like during the day,
Correct.
or
we'll
okay.
make special arrangements.
Okay, but you
Yeah.
have to make these arrangements
Yes, call
in
us up
advance
and
of
we'll
that.
plan it.
Okay, and the idea is, like you said, was to bring people together, and
Yes.
and on that early premise.
This Christmas village has touched so many people in various ways. There was one couple that told me their story. They're not from Guam. They have no children, and so this is their Christmas. They have no family, no children, so this is their Christmas, the friary.
Can you describe like just some of the scenes that people will be able to see?
Yes. Well, all the kids and even some adults are fascinated by the trains, and there's more than one train. Balloons that go up and down, ski lifts, airplanes, hanging airplanes. Besides the visual, there's also sound. At Agana Shopping Center, it's nice and cold as well, so there's also that. But there's music, the noise of the trains, beeping here and toots there, and
Yeah.
it's a whole experience. And then of course, looking at the kids, wide-eyed and wowing and all that. It's just a wonderful experience.
What it is, as well as it is a great escape because it pleases all the senses, and the
Yeah.
fact that the place is cold makes it feel like you're really
Yeah.
someplace where it's cold.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it costs really nothing to get in, but a donation. I'm just going to make an appeal myself that a donation box will be set up, and you can make your selection on the denominations that you would like to contribute. The Friary is a landmark, like you said, iconic building, part of the landscape of Guam, and it's a place where you have been for many, 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 many years. The Capuchins and their presence in Guam is known to many, and you are also working on the formation of young men to continue.
Correct.
How many of you all together up there?
There are at least 12 or 13, and 5 of them are young men in various stages. Some in college, and some working to get there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it also is home to yet another. I don't want to call it a feature, but the Latin Mass.
Yeah.
The Latin Mass, of which you
Yeah.
generally celebrate.
Yes, yes.
Is it because are you the only one who's fluent in Latin, or is not everybody can really perform a Latin Mass?
Well, I'm really into it, and I'm free enough. I don't have a parish.
Yeah.
So the other priests who are interested in it do have parish work. So
Have you found more of an interest? People who remember, those of us who remember that when Mass was said in Latin?
yes, there are those, but what's amazing are the young people
Yeah.
who were born 20, 30 years after Vatican II, who have no recollection at all. But they find the reverence and the transcendent qualities of the Mass to their appeal and spiritual help.
Isn't that interesting, or do you find that interesting?
No, I don't find it. Well, I find it interesting, but I
Yeah.
don't find it surprising, because people are people, regardless of what age they are or when they were born or where they live. people are people, and we all have spiritual needs, and some people really find those needs met
Yeah.
in the
It's
traditional mass.
in the traditional mass. Polly, thank you so much
You're
for
very
taking
welcome.
the
Thank
time to
you
come. No,
for
absolutely,
helping us
it's our pleasure.
publicize.
All the time, and we'll talk more about it as the holidays are around us. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you on the radio. Take care.